Yep.
Chairman?
You got it.
Off. Now it's on. Now
Okay.
it's on.
It's backwards from what I was thinking. Okay, I call to order the August 22nd, 2019 Oroville Planning Commission meeting to order. Would you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Flicker? Just say
Here.
again. Commissioner Britton?
Here.
Commissioner Chapman? Commissioner Jenkins? Commissioner Sears?
Here.
Vice Chair Durling?
Here.
Chairperson Robson?
Will everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and join me, please? So, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for all. Instructions here. Basically, if you want to speak, please fill out the speaker's form, the blue forms over there, and give them to our clerk. We have a 3-minute time limit on presentations. And also, this is an opportunity if anyone wants to bring a subject up that's not on the agenda for discussion, then we can do that, but we can't take action on it.
Mr. Chair, I do not have any blue speaker cards on public comment.
Do what?
I do not have any blue speaker cards for public comment.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's for item number 2? Yeah.
Okay. Approval of the minutes. You have a motion and a second. Anybody have any changes?
Also move.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Please add your votes. Are there any changes anyone wants to make? We'll close the voting.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, open the public hearing. The staff will introduce the item, and speakers are requested to provide a speaker card, but we're not doing that. Hearing is open for the 3 minutes I mentioned. Our first item on the agenda is a sign program at Kentucky Fried Chicken Restaurant, KFC. I believe it's located on Ordam Boulevard, and it was approved back in 2017. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission members. Wes Irvin, planner for the City of Oroville. The item before you includes review and approval of most of the sign program for the KFC drive-through restaurant at 660 Orodam Boulevard. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
The use permit for the project itself, as Carl has mentioned, was approved by this commission on June 27th of 2017. The building permit drawings submitted after that showed some signs and some painting of buildings, but at that time, all had not been fully detailed. So we bring the signs to you tonight as the Acting Development Review Board. The original plans, I should note, show a monument sign along the Oro Dam Boulevard, which is number 30 on the drawing, if you can see it.
Can you bring the drawing up on, see the site plan? Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard to see on this scale, but, well, it won't show on my pointer either. It's near the entrance, and it's item number 30. It's supposed to be a monument sign. That's the way it was originally designated. But we have been told that instead, they will be seeking to place a pole sign or a freestanding sign, which can be 40 feet and 50 square feet in area on each side. So we're anticipating that. Eventually, they will submit that, and it would be similar to the McDonald's and the other signs that are there along Oro Dam Boulevard near Highway 70.
Well, McDonald's is, I believe it's what, 85 feet?
Yeah.
So this won't be 85, this is only 40.
Well, that remains to be seen. You're right, freestanding signs are limited to 40 feet unless a balloon test is done that can show that it needs to be 60 feet or even higher to be seen from Highway 70, the interchange.
I believe it's got to be in the freeway corridor, though, which we specifically had some pretty detailed measurements to even have that possibility. I don't know, but check that. It was, the freeway corridor, I believe, was about 1,200,
It was a quarter of a mile.
quarter of a
A
mile.
quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
So what we need to know is how far off of Highway 70 is KFC?
Yeah, I know it's close, because that Panda Express sign, we went down to almost feet on that Panda Express sign.
Okay, well then, this is farther than that, so
Yeah, so I would recommend looking at that.
we'll do.
Yeah,
The freeway corridor is, no.
North
no,
and
it's
south.
Highway
Right.
70.
north and south on Highway 70.
Yeah.
And anything, remember, we did this, anything over a quarter mile dropped down to 40.
Yeah, maximum 40, no
Yeah.
matter what.
They still had to get approval if it was gonna be over 40 and within that
Yeah,
corridor.
it's,
Yeah.
you know, but if it's not in the corridor, I don't think they can do it.
All right, so it sounds like it's not in the corridor, but
You-
we'll measure it.
They can
and make
double
sure.
check, yeah.
So tonight, you are asked to conduct a public hearing on the sign program, approve the signs before you tonight, and if so desired, delegate review of the pole sign to the zoning administrator unless they want to exceed the 40 feet and the 50 square feet per side. In considering the sign approval, the board must make 4 determinations according to the city's code. There must be one or more common design elements. The colors, material, size, placement must be compatible with the site and the surrounding area. The number and placement must be compatible with signs on nearby properties. And we note that the signs in this review do not appear to compromise the visibility of an existing monument sign on the adjacent properties, the properties that are behind the KFC. And lastly, the signs must comply with our sign codes, which they appear to do. Tonight's review includes 14 decorative and elements and signs that total 259 square feet, which is below the 330 square feet allowed. We note that those items listed as not applicable, or the square footage is listed as not applicable on the product list, are not technically signs, so they did not count in the square footage. And if the pole sign is 50 square feet on a face, all signs combined will come in under the 330 square feet. So that concludes my presentation.
Are there any other questions of the staff? Then we have somebody representing the applicant.
No, I'm Brian Luttrell from Coldwell Banker Commercial, and I'm kind of here in proxy for both property owners, Arun Patel, who owns the Best Value Inn to the west of the subject property, and Margaret Scheinman, who owns the rest of the development that this property is in.
Do you want to talk to us about it, any of
So,
that?
the only thing that I'm really here to voice their concerns is that when the pole sign is going to approval, that Margaret Scheinman in particular is hoping that it doesn't just go to an individual for approval, but that it goes before council again, so public hearing can be part of that process, so she can have a final say if, again, she's concerned with placement of that sign. I've been talking to Wes, and we've, again, provided her the North Star Engineering, the reciprocal easement that is part of that property to make sure, like where their existing monument proposal was, that's actually in the common area. So she's just trying to make sure that, again, no signs are approved in the common area, and that by approving the pole sign in the future, that it does not limit her other pad that we have for sale for having the same potential pole sign for that business, and also for Arun with the Best Value Inn, that if he ever changed the designation or sold that hotel and a new hotel says we have to have a sign like that, that again, the placement of the KFC sign does not become the tail that wags the dog and limits both property owners on each side of that from having the same potential, is basically what, again, the concern is.
Okay, for the record, would you state your name?
My name is Brian Luttrell. I work with Coldwell Banker Commercial in Chico.
Okay, and then it's up to the planning commission whether they want the pole sign to come back to the commission.
Understand.
And that would be handled as part of the motion, I would presume.
I'm just, again, trying to just
But I think we all.
express a concern with the, again, the placement of that and the potential impact it has on the other, again, contiguous property owners.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions of him?
I do.
Okay.
On the KFC pole sign, if there was, and I don't know if this is feasible or not, but I know they're allowed at a 40-foot. Is there any way that if there's an additional signage to be added to that, can we make that a stipulation to add that to the 40-foot pole sign?
That's what actually Mrs. Scheinman had proposed to the original person she sold this parcel to. It was another KFC franchisee, and then he turned around and just sold it to somebody else, the current owner, without telling her or anything. She proposed a shared monument, and that she would split cost, and they just kind of put her off. But she's very open to that, and if that would be the, again, happy medium, that's definitely something that.
Wes, kind of like the old Walmart sign? Is that a monument, or is that a
The
pole?
new Walmart, the old shopping center?
Yeah. Is that
That's a
monu-
pole sign.
That's a pole sign, and that's kind of my idea behind that, is if there's any other businesses, can it be added to that pole? And sure, KFC gets a top spot, but still, we have to take into consideration anybody else that comes in.
And the maintenance of that and everything, there's CCNRs for the development, so that could be another thing that's incorporated into the CCNRs, just to make sure that for, shared maintenance of it or construction or whatnot, that it's spelled out for future ownership too.
I'm not sure if we can require that.
No, I know, but I was just saying, as far as they're just saying that is there, as far as something that could be something the ownerships then approve, as far as part of just for moving forward, because this has been an eye-opening experience for Mrs. Scheinman, because the construction on the vacant parcel has impacted her rest of the development, because obviously you have to have cans and you have to have construction, trucks and tractors and bulldozers and things. They, without permission, put all of that on her property and have damaged her property considerably with the driveway and everything, putting a hole in it from too much weight and things. So hindsight being 20/20, she should have thought about that and, you know, again, put that into place with those CCNRs in the beginning, and she will be probably making those modifications for the other vacant pad that we have listed for sale. But again, hindsight being 2020, it's just, this is one of those things that, you know, again, comes up in process, but has nothing to do with you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so first off, I have to ask, I am one of those businesses behind it. Am I allowed to speak or vote on this? I mean, I'm not an owner, but behind KFC in that Plaza Mall is where my office is at.
Do you own the business
No.
or do you work in the business?
I'm an individual contractor.
And
Yeah.
you're not subject to it?
Okay, I just want to make sure. We have a monument. I guess your monument as in like where lots of businesses are. So when you go, if you've been there, you go in the driveway, that back plaza, all of those has a monument sign. We all have our little slots. The big pad, which is KFC's going up, would have, I would say, their own sign because we already have it. And then that pad would have its own side. We really wouldn't need a group one because we already have a group one. It's in front of it.
They're talking about the
But why would you want to put other businesses? There's no other businesses. We
Just for
already
that
have our
vacant-
sign.
Well, just for that vacant pad, because that other vacant pad could be a restaurant, like a
You mean on the
sit-down-
other side?
Yeah, so it could be like a sit-down restaurant, like, you know, Black Bear Diner or
But wouldn't
something
you want to
like
have your sign in front of your business,
Well,
not
if that
a
would be
sign?
something, again, that was the original concern, is that where the KFC pole sign gets approved, that it does not limit the potential for somebody else coming along down the road who buys that to do the same thing, because it's unfair competition if this person's now, you know, sign says, oh, now you can't put it here, or on the other side of that with especially the best value in.
I can add to that. The city code says that a minimum distance of 75 feet shall separate any two freestanding signs, so that may bear on the discussion.
Well, definitely, because I don't know how wide it is across, but
You know, I didn't measure it. As
that
far
would
as-
be a definitely,
75 feet.
no, it's not.
But for the rest of the development, like what you're saying, the monument's there.
Already
and,
there.
you know, that works perfect for the back. It's just usually with those out parcels, that's one of those things that especially a corporate real estate developer or director wants to see, especially if the neighbor's got it. And all of a sudden, then it just, as you know,
Yeah.
being a realtor, you know, they start saying, well, why can't I have it?
Sure.
And, you know, again, it just becomes sometimes a deal killer.
So I didn't see the actual signs in our packet, but does KFC still, on the end of their pole, their advertisement is a bucket of chicken? I mean, the bucket, or is this gonna be a sign?
I think they've changed their corporate image to just that KFC kind of thing.
The KFC sign?
I kind of saw some of the signage on the building, and it looks, you know, again.
I just saw it on the building, I didn't see what we're talking about, like on a
They're-
pole.
they're-
We have not yet
We're not privy
been,
to the pole,
we have
okay.
Yeah,
not
so they
yet
haven't
been
submitted that
seen the
bid
design
yet,
for
so
the
that's why
pole.
it's kind of like, they're getting this approved first, but they want that pole sign just to be sent to basically approval if it's under 40 feet. And the placement of it, Margaret's just concerned as far as, well, you know, again, I just don't want to make sure that I don't have no last say in the matter if, you know, again, that's going to affect my.
Well, I'm sure she wouldn't want to be over limited on the location of her pole sign.
Exactly.
Or the location of KFC's
Yeah,
pole sign.
and she couldn't be here tonight. She tried, but she just had
But
to.
we're not talking about pole signs.
No, exactly. So again, she just wanted to make sure there was somebody here for a voice of reason, and same with Haroon on the other side. He's out of the area, and he's a longtime client and friend, so we figured I'm close and I could do that for him.
Cool.
Thank you guys for taking the time.
All right, thank you.
That, yes. Okay, I'll close the public hearing, seeing no other people for comments. And again, open it up for discussion with the commission members, including if we have additional questions of staff. And looks like Sears?
Yes.
I just don't want to see us get in a pole sign war and turn that whole end of Oro Dam into what looks like a giant truck stop. We've got to try not to go that direction, I feel.
Any other questions of staff? Any discussion?
Well, so is that the only limitations on pole sign is the footage isn't, is there a limitation on the square footage of signing per property? Is that just limited by the square footage of the building? Because we were addressing this when we were updating the,
That is limited by the length of the street frontage.
of the building now, of each particular building
For the
or?
property. I think it's the property street.
I thought it
frontage.
was, Wes, I thought it was limited to the square footage of the building also.
The code at 17.20.070 says the maximum freestanding sign area is based on the total linear street frontage of the front side of the site.
Yep.
So up to 200 feet, you're allowed 50 square feet per side.
Now,
Up to 200 feet. So, and then they're 75 feet apart, but if the whole frontage of the property is 200 feet, are they allowed, that's, you're hitting the maximum square footage.
Is that per business?
No, I think that's all together.
See, there are two
They could take them all.
parcels that share that frontage, so again, I don't know if that's going to play as far as if it's just.
Because we've had this discussion before and we're not gonna allow, like, if you have
can't overlap.
10 monument signs on, or pole signs on one property.
Right.
So,
But it also has to be 75 feet.
but it's limited to 50 square feet per side, right? Per 200 square foot. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, if the street frontage is under 200 square feet, which this is on the KFC parcel, not the total between the two parcels, but the KFC parcel is
Under
under
200
200 square feet.
I
I'm sorry,
believe-
200 linear feet.
Yeah, I believe it was the building, the frontage of the building, not the frontage of the property itself, because we've had this issue. I think we had to do
we were
a
working-
special, we had to do a special type of approval for Panda Express and Starbucks because they wanted more. These businesses now are, rather than tilting wide end to the street, they're doing narrow end to the street. So it would limit their signage. But I think we were talking about every side that you could see, adding that up rather than,
Right. I recall that too.
Yeah.
but these businesses with the narrow end towards the street, I believe have been difficult with the old sign program because they weren't getting the amount of signage that they requested. But it doesn't look like KFC has an overabundance of signing.
Is
signage.
there, what's the total what's the street frontage of the whole complex? Do we
I
know?
measured it, I didn't bring it with me, I think it was 125 feet or something.
For the whole complex?
Oh, not for the whole complex, it'd probably be double that. yeah.
Okay, so see, that's a problem. If you're headed east or west, you see more of the building. If you're headed east, you don't see, right? So remember we discussed this in the sign ordinance, that you would take the narrow end and the end that faces the street,
Right.
right?
That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something we really need to get back to, Wes, is we need to finish this sign ordinance. Because, no, because we didn't finish it. So everything has been a variance.
Yeah.
And that's what we got tired
We're
of,
trying to
is
get rid
is
of
getting rid of the variances, right?
Dealing with a straight street.
Yeah, so, but that's a separate issue, Wes. But I think we did come to the understanding that if it was the narrow end of the building, that you also took into consideration what faced the street. And that kind of, the way they place that is the east side does face the street. So I don't know what the measurement is there. But you have to take that into consideration, I
I think
would think.
the big question on this one is, are they gonna require a use permit when they do the monuments sign, Wes, or is that gonna be, if they're
That's
gonna be-
also subject to design review. We note that the use permit's already been approved
Yeah,
for this project.
that was a monument sign that we approved, not a pole sign. Right.
Okay. Any other questions of staff or discussion? I have one question. when you take the 50, was it 50 square feet or whatever for the pole sign, and add it to all the other square footage that they're under, by how much? And the other side of the coin of that question is, can they increase the square footage of the pole sign in order to meet the maximum that's allowed?
I calculated the square footage of all the signs that are before you today as well, if you add the 50 feet
Yeah,
on each, then you have a 259 square foot
And they're allowed?
total signage, 330.
so can they increase the pole sign square footage in order to come up to the maximum that's total allowed?
I thought it was 50 square feet per side was the
Yeah.
max limit on that.
The frontage here, I have the number is 145 feet on the KFC property.
Okay.
So that's a 50 square foot maximum per side.
Okay, I wanted to be clear about that. Okay, any other questions? I think I'll close the public hearing again and wait for a motion and include, if the commission wants to include it as part of the motion.
I guess one more thing. If this came back for the sign, the post sign, would another fee be charged or not?
I'd have to check on that. Yeah.
Anyway, in the motion, I suggest that to include that the pole sign come back to the planning commission, because there's a lot of issues, I think, that need to be resolved at the commission level.
You mean if it goes
Hmm?
No, if it's a pole sign, period.
higher than 40?
So the only thing that's approved on this was a monument sign, so if they're
Everything
gonna
was
amend it, if they're gonna amend the use permit, I think they'd have to come back to the planning commission anyway if they want something different than we already approved.
They have not submitted their monument sign as part of this package tonight.
Okay,
So they haven't submitted the monument sign or
all the pole signs.
the pole sign.
Correct.
Yeah, well, I mean, without looking at that,
Oh, it's gotta come back.
yeah.
So are we here as a DRC or are we here as a planning commission?
You're here as a development review committee
Right.
for that approval, design review approval, as opposed to as the planning commission. So you notice there's no resolution.
Right. Well, so we don't,
So what does that mean? What do they want from us at this point? Because I've never been on this committee. We've reviewed it.
It sounds like we would just need a motion on item number 1 based on what you guys are saying, or on the first paragraph.
I would make a motion to conditionally approve the sign program application at the new KFC restaurant with the condition that if they're gonna amend their use permit for a pole sign, it comes back before the planning commission.
But we haven't seen the monument sign.
If the, no, the monument sign was already, I believe it was already approved with the original use permit.
Is it approved?
I thought he said it wasn't.
The monument sign is included on the
Original plans.
building plan set that was submitted and approved.
I recall that, and it was. If they're gonna change it, it needs to come back before the,
Okay, I agree with that. Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, including that the pole sign comes back to the planning commission, and we have a second.
And if the monument sign
So my understanding of the motion was that you're conditionally approving the sign program application at the new KFC Boulevard, subject to if there's changes to the freestanding sign, it comes back. That was the motion.
sure, so,
Good.
either way.
All right, vote. Is there anyone that wants to change their vote at this time? Seeing none, voting's approved.
Motion carries.
Oh. Okay. Next item is a request for street names. And that went through me. I wasn't sure what that meant, and I'll leave that to staff to explain.
Thank you. I'd be pleased to. Item 3 includes 2 street namings, both proposed by the existing property owners. The first, Holly Trail, is proposed as the renaming of the former Philotes Court, which is part of the Acacia Estates subdivision
Oh, okay.
that was approved. And it's hard to see there on the screen, but it's the red arrow is where it's located.
Yep.
Yeah, on the, it goes downhill and there's that little. Yes, 14 lots are proposed, yeah.
Now, this isn't a situation where you're driving down the street and the name changes from one name to another without,
No, no. Acacia Avenue, I think it's Avenue. This court, this Holly Court, or Holly Trail proposed, comes off of Acacia, and it's a cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac. Okay.
Cul-de-sac.
There's no houses on it yet.
Well, still, just want to
We
make
don't even
sure.
have underground in there.
So that is a proposal. As you've noted, there's nothing built there, and so this street name is not in any city or county list of street names, so it's not taken. The second is Connor Court, and there is a picture in your staff report of it. It is located where the blue arrow is on the overhead, at the near the intersection of Valley View and Canyon Highlands. It is currently a private driveway with one home on it coming off of Valley View, and the owner, her last name is Connor, and she proposes to name this private driveway Connor Court. The drive would remain private, and currently it only has one home on it. It could have another later that's built on a vacant lot next to it.
Actually, there's one being built.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's currently being constructed. I think
Okay.
that's why they want it.
So is the maintenance, since it's a private drive, the maintenance is totally up to the private.
That's correct. So staff recommends approval of both of these. Neither would have any impact to anyone else that we can identify. And if you approve these tonight, they would then go to the city council for final approval.
Any questions? Whoever makes the motion, I'll just repeat under the recommendation for the motion.
I'll move that we recommend staff approving the names suggested and adding them to the city map.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Anyone wants to change their vote? Seeing none, voting is closed.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, next item is director's report. And what I'd like to see in that is kind of update on various things that have been sitting on the back burner for quite a while. And I'm not sure if you can do that this time or maybe the next meeting, but
I can give an update on some of the things we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
I also have 3 other items to note to this commission. Senate I'm sorry, AB2, Assembly Bill 2, passed very recently, or not very recently, a year ago, but the second phase of AB2 is kicking in, and that gives all cities of our size a $160,000 grant for encouraging and promoting speedy housing development due to the housing crisis in the state. So we are preparing that grant application. It will help expedite the recreation of some of our 19 previously approved subdivisions, which is up to 2,500 homes that were approved before the recession. So this would provide funding to reach out to those owners of those subdivisions and find out how quickly they could reapply for these maps that have expired. And some of the funding would go towards doing things like CEQA clearances for updating. Some of the funds would go towards sewer capacity studies and things like that. So that's what we're preparing. We're intending to go before the City Council on September 3rd on this for approval to submit. We have received a pre-application to begin the annexation process for the Ruddy Creek subdivision, which is at 18th and Feather in Thermalito. It's 172 single-family lots, smaller than the R1 standard of 5,000 square feet. But the applicant wants to revive this program, and the next step will be to have a neighborhood meeting to find out what the neighbors think about it so that we can determine whether there's an election needed or not in order to proceed with the.
Yes. Yeah, they're in Thermalito.
I didn't think that was in the city.
They are, and TID, yeah.
What's the location?
It's 18th and Feather in Thermalito. It's outside the city limits.
It
Part of it
joins
is it's right at the edge of the city limits. So it's contiguous, and so it would be annexed as part of the process.
Yeah.
Don't, are they going to include the application?
Yes, we have, we're determining what the process is to reapprove it here at the city council and the planning commission, and then submit it to LAFCO. And thirdly, we're actively working now on annexing South Lincoln Avenue, which is a little triangle of land that includes the rescue mission and some 30-odd parcels down there into the city limits. And this was a city-initiated annexation. So also mentioned before, we're working on an update of the sphere of influence to potentially in the future annex the land west of Wilbur Road, which is the last point of land before it goes into the afterbay. We're looking we're starting to look at rezoning and/or revising the development standards for South Oroville, possibly recommending rezoning some of the parcels along Myers and Lincoln for making them more attractive for neighborhood commercial and multifamily development. So we're looking at that as well. Did you have any particular questions about any other items?
Turn your microphone on. Turn your microphone on.
Back to Wilbur Road, is that on the south side of 162?
Yes.
Okay, that's, yeah.
We're talking about annexing that way out there. Why? I mean, there's a lot of space in between.
Yeah, the owners have expressed interest in doing so, so we're starting discussions about it right now. No applications have been filed. It is outside of our sphere of influence right now, so it would need to be brought into our sphere as the first LAFCO action. And it is, like you say, it is not contiguous with existing city limits. What is that subdivision that's in the specific plan?
Oh, the links?
Side.
No, there's Linkside,
That's not even close
which
to
is
anywhere.
under construction, but then there's another specific plan area, which I'm forgetting the name of it.
There's Vista del Oro subdivision, and there's Cal Vista, where it ends at 20th Street. Is that what you're?
There's
No,
nothing
it's-
past links.
think it's out there.
It's on the east side of Wilbur Road, between the airport and Wilbur Road, there's a specific plan that's been adopted, and I'm forgetting the
There was
name of it.
400
Where that
acres or
winery's
whatever
at?
that was.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that was developed way back
Well, it was-
early
It's
70s.
all vacant land.
Yeah, it's all vacant land right now, yeah. And we have made no progress on the sign ordinance, updating that, but it sounds like it's time to start paying attention to that, so.
then we had, was it 2 members of the commission?
3.
Or was it 3?
It was us 3.
Yeah, okay. And we were rotating the membership of that subcommittee. So when you're ready, I'd like you to come back to the planning commission so that we can make a decision of who's gonna be on
Okay,
that committee.
and we'll
uh,
start with the draft that you
Yeah,
guys
it
have
was like an ad
finished.
hoc. We had an ad hoc committee, and then
Right.
Yeah, and I know that I can't even find my paperwork. I know, Randy, you said you had yours,
I
but
have mine.
does the city have their paperwork? I remember Dawn was.
updating as we went.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's in our files, but
Okay.
could I impose on someone to email me what you have as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
We'll get- If I can find it, I might have lost it by now. It's been like a year.
I think I have mine with my notes and everything, so
Okay.
if I can find it, I'll bring it down and let you make a copy of it. or
Oh,
keep
that'd
it.
be great, thank you.
Uh,
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to know what the status is of the property there at Montgomery and the freeway.
The Gateway project?
Yeah.
I don't know much
It was
about
for sale
that.
or,
Apparently, the previous agreement or the previous people that the city was talking with, that project has dropped out, and
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know what's been happening since.
there was a time limit that they had to perform.
I
I
think
think
the
we're
time
well
of it,
past that.
yeah, expired a long time ago. We were trying to work with them because they kept coming in talking about development, just never
Never
did
happened.
it. So
Okay.
there was some work being discussed along the Feather River Boulevard and Oro Dam across, where the old, well, I guess would be where the Goodwill is now, that center. Is there any more progress being done on that?
At the corner?
Yeah.
There wasn't a hotel or something proposed there, or
Well, they were talking about a commercial center
commercial, yeah.
that would have had a
Like a
tenant.
Flying J type
Yeah,
of
right.
style.
I know we've had discussions with, over the last, since I've been here about 12 weeks now, I guess, there have been discussions with 2 developers that were interested in that. No applications so far.
Yeah.
Whatever,
No, it's owned.
La Quinta.
that we're gonna build there.
I think they're still looking.
Still?
I don't think they've locked in anything. I haven't talked to the owner of that project lately, but yeah.
Prepare a report for the commission on the Gateway project to give you an update at the next planning commission meeting. Oh, and on the agenda for the next planning commission meeting is the alcohol sales, beer and wine sales permit for the Chipotle. that is now under construction. So that will be on the agenda for you to approve.
Is that it for director's report?
Yes.
Okay. Anything from the planning commissioners, attend any meetings or anything that all of us might be interested in? Okay. Sounds like that's the end of the meeting. We'll adjourn the meeting. Next meeting date's September 26, 2019, 7 p.m. here.